Greg Maddux is the ace of the Atlanta Braves. He has the best control in the league. Tonight, he faces the Cardinals. Darryl Kile is the ace of the St. Louis Cardinals. He has the best curveball in the league. Tonight, he takes on Atlanta. A great pitching matchup next on Fox Sports Net. Greg Maddux is absolutely red hot. He hasn't walked a hitter in over 58 innings. He has won 10 consecutive decisions. Darryl Kile has pitched like the Cardinal ace since spring training, and we hope the Cardinals can string some wins together. Inside a very warm Busch Stadium, it's Game 2 of this three-game set. The Atlanta Braves and the St. Louis Cardinals. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck along with Al Hrabosky, and I know it puts a little smile on your face anytime we come into the game talking about pitching, and I think that's what we'll talk about at the start, the middle part of it, and the end of it, because these are the two of the best.
Yeah, and folks, just sit back and watch this great pitching performance. Watch these two surgeons go after the opponents. Greg Maddux with his phenomenal control. He's on a roll, 10-0 in his last 11 starts, an ERA under 3. So he just pitches off both sides of the plate, never in the middle. But you know, Darryl Kile is very good at doing what he can do when he keeps the ball away from his mouth.
Look at what he has done in his last 5 starts. And that's one thing that I'm sure Dave Duncan will tell him prior to tonight's game. Darryl, if you can, keep the ball away from your mouth.
Yeah, you don't want to have a balk called on you, or you don't want to eat a baseball, such as he tried to do in Chicago.
But thankfully, he is all right, and he showed his toughness yet again. It didn't surprise anybody who knows him that he went back out to pitch the next inning.
Yeah, he went out there and just goes out. You know, he accepts his responsibility. He's thrilled to death to be matched up against Maddux and pitch against the Atlanta Braves. And you know what? Hey, maybe we'll get that historic home run from Big Mac, tie his arm in Killebrew tonight.
That could happen tonight. Greg Maddux is on the mound for Atlanta. So Mark McGwire will have his hands full tonight. He's 1 home run away from 5th place on the all-time home run list. He's looking at Harmon Killebrew next. Baseball coming up. Oh, what a gorgeous night. Cardinal Baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Budweiser. With a crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. By your local Chrysler and Jeep dealers, the official automotive sponsor of the Cardinals on Fox Sports Net. By Pennzoil, protection under the toughest conditions. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, for tires and complete auto service, all you need is Dobbs. And by Southwest Airlines, celebrating 30 years of freedom, 30 years, one mission, low fares. Inside Busch Stadium, these fans are trying to stay cool, as are these broadcasters, players, everybody involved in this one. And the Southwest Airlines starting lineup for the Atlanta Braves. Bobby Cox has Giles leading off again. B.J. Surhoff batting second. Chipper Jones hits third. Ken Caminiti cleans up. Then it's Dave Martinez in right. Andrew Jones. Ray Sanchez is the newest Atlanta Brave. He's the shortstop. Paul Bacco does the catching because Greg Maddux is on the mound. And for the Cardinals, it's Darryl Kile.
Yeah, his competitive fire is going to be lit because he's matched up against Maddux, one of the best in the game. He's got to be very aggressive. He's been doing that. He's been keeping the ball in the ballpark, and he's got that great 12-6 curveball working. That is his equalizer.
Lighted? Should it be lighted? Lit or lighted?
He's lit, man.
Let's go around the horn. That is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Mark McGwire is at first base. The second baseman, Fernando Vina. Over at third and playing a terrific third base is Polanco. The shortstop, a 4-hit night last night, Edgar Renteria. Out in the outfield, it's Pujols, who seems more comfortable in left. Jim Edmonds in center, making friends with Angel Hernandez. And over in right, it's J.D. Drew. The catcher is Mike Matheny, who was behind the plate for Darryl's last start in Chicago. A game the Cardinals lost, blew a lead in the late innings. A game that got away for the most part. The Chrysler Jeep pitching matchup features Kile and Maddux, and so far this season a record of 10-7 for the Cardinal right-hander.
Yeah, Darryl went over the or won 10 games for the 6th time in his career, 5th time in the last 6 years, went over 2,000 innings in his career, and what another gutsy performance after taking that ball off the upper lip, stayed in the ball game and got a no decision. Deserved a better fate.
Here's Marcus Giles leading off for Atlanta, and a high strike. A high strike, and we're underway. 96 degrees is the temperature, the heat index over 100. A lot of humidity. Here's an 0-1. Ooh, a high strike, now a low strike, and it's 0-2.
Well, these two guys, and I'm sure, Joe, Hunter Wendelstedt, who's behind the plate, has it in his mind that this is going to be a pitching duel, and his mind is thinking strikes.
Good. Here's an 0-2. Giles reaching, and that's foul. So they've got Marcus Giles in their lineup. Mark DeRosa sits as Ray Sanchez will make his Atlanta Braves debut here tonight. The Cardinals, meanwhile, have purchased the contract of T.J. Matthews, and it's good to have the former Cardinal a current Cardinal, and he's out in the bullpen.
Pitched very well in Memphis after being let go by Oakland.
And 0-2 to Giles leading off, and the breaking ball is grounded to Renteria. One away. Looked like a veteran move, Al, and this might be thinking too much, but it looked like Kile had the decision whether to try to reach for that, and more times than not, as you look at what he did on that Friday start in Chicago, it'll deflect off a pitcher, and it may end up an infield hit. He trusted Renteria, and Edgar made the play.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Joe, because there's times that ball hit back at you. Your tendency is to try and field everything you can. But as you mentioned, you go a little bit beyond your range, you deflect the ball, it's an automatic hit. You trust your defense behind you.
B.J. Surhoff now reaches for one and golfs it into right. J.D. Drew back to get it. On the track, 2 out.
A little casual out there by J.D., but under control.
You could see him look at Jim Edmonds, say, I couldn't see it.
Let's go back to last Friday. Now watch, the ball comes off the bat sort of as a changeup, so he thinks it's hit much harder. He puts the glove up there thinking it's a harder hit ball, misses it, hits him in the mouth. He's from his knees, he scrambles for it, and then the reality of that, hey, it hurts. Looks pretty good now, that lip.
It's back to normal. At night, seeing him after the game, it was inflated.
Took a single stitch to close a little wound in the inside of the mouth.
His buddy Mike Matheny said he looked like a duck. And he said when he went out there, Darryl Kile, for the first time since these two have been working together, said, I'm done. That's into shallow left and a base hit. Terrible break by Pujols as he couldn't read it off the bat. And what should have been the final out of the top of the first, Pujols couldn't find it and then couldn't recover, and it's a double.
Well, no sunglasses, and you saw that J.D. was fine. Here's the one thing. Look at him pull up here, Joe. And that ball ended up not being that far away from him. You kind of wish he would have continued to run. Fooled on a breaking ball. He knows it's an out. He's just kind of trotting, and then he can't believe it. He gets the bonus of an extra base hit.
You'll hear outfielders and infielders talk about a high sky and trying to find a ball different times during the course of a day. We're starting everything an hour early. And after J.D. Drew said he couldn't see one out in right, as Al pointed out, Pujols, who's now shading his eyes from the sun with his glove, he's having a tough time on a rather hazy day in downtown St. Louis finding the ball out in left.
And we know that the start time for Friday, the first game of the doubleheader, 4:40, is going to be very troublesome.
A couple of breaking balls have missed to Caminiti. All of a sudden the Braves could get a lead here, which is double dangerous with Maddux pitching. It counts 2-0 with a runner at second, 2 out.
Former teammates Darryl Kile and Caminiti.
Here's a 2-0. Bottom fell out of that pitch. Was that the fork ball?
I was watching the monitor, and it could have been.
It looked like it had a little different break to it than its typical breaking ball.
It wasn't his typical big 12-6er, so it might have been the fork ball that he's been toying with. Even when you don't have the good feel for that, it's an effective changeup.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. Fastball now and a strike to make it 2-2. So Kile tries to battle back from the bloop double. A 2-0 count. The count 2 balls, 2 strikes. He is hot.
He had a great series in Montreal where the Braves won 3 out of 4, the last 3 games there, and then they were stopped last night by good pitching.
Dustin Hermanson and Steve Klein, the Montreal Express. Here's a 2-2. Breaking ball, got it. Good work by Kile. He pitches around a mistaken left, and now it's Greg Maddux's turn. Albert Pujols having a rough time with that sky. One fell in, but it didn't hurt. No score after a half. No score after a half inning. The Braves got a blue pit, but could not cash in. Today's Southwest Airlines starting lineup for the Cardinals. Fernando Vina leads off at second base. Polanco at home this season hitting .322. Pujols bats third. McGuire hits cleanup. Edmonds, Drew, Renteria, Matheny, and then Darryl Kile. Same lineup as the Cardinals threw out there last night in a 6-2 win. And here is Greg Maddux with a rather simple scouting report.
14-game winner with just total command. You know, he has not walked a batter in better than 58 innings. He is just a surgeon out there of pitching on both sides of the plate and really giving you nothing to hit.
He is due. He is due to get knocked around. Let's go around the horn. It's brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Ken Caminetti is at first base. Second baseman is Marcus Giles. Third base, it's Chipper Jones. The shortstop is Ray Sanchez. I think the Braves had a wise move when they picked up the former Royal B.J. Surhoff in left. Center fielder is Andrew Jones. And the right fielder is Dave Martinez. The catcher tonight is Paul Bacco. Greg Maddux does not like to throw to Javi Lopez. So Bacco is behind the plate. And away we go. Vina is ready to start it. Bottom of the first, no score. And that's a floater down the left field line. It is a foul ball. Barely foul. Between the line and the seats, and that's strike one. Could not have missed it by much. The Chrysler Jeep pitching numbers for Greg Maddux. 14-5. He's won 10 consecutive decisions. 18 walks all year and none in the last 58 1/3 innings.
And Joe, of those 18 walks, 6 of them are intentional.
Amazing. Let's look at the foul ball and see. Missed by a couple of feet. That's it.
Yep. And you know, with a guy like Greg Maddux, you got to jump on him early. Seems like how do you talk about somebody that doesn't really have command until he gets into a little bit of a groove? 9-2 this season following Braves losses. Of course, they lost last night to the Cardinals.
Here's an 0-1 to Vina. 0-2. Most hitters will tell you that they will go up there looking to hit the first thing that Maddux throws them because of Maddux's penchant for throwing strikes. Maddux, once he gets ahead 0-2 like this situation, will rarely, quote unquote, waste a pitch. And 0-2. Vina's gone, one away. Maddux's idea is why waste a pitch? I mean, may be the best time to get a hitter out with an 0-2 count. He goes right after each hitter, and he took care of Vina with that last pitch.
But there's a good indication. 0-2 pitch is down and away. You know, he keeps it down so he can't get hurt.
Our friends at Oral Health America's National Spit Tobacco Education Program would like to remind you that smokeless does not mean harmless. And with one out, here's Polanco hitting .327. 2 hits last night. He takes a strike from Maddux.
4 pitches, 4 strikes.
Cardinals are playing the Atlanta Braves here. They have played Atlanta down in Atlanta already.
2-2 in the 4 games played this year.
Lost 2 of 3 in Georgia. Here's an 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the Atlanta Braves start the day 3 games up on Philadelphia. You look at the 1-2 punch, and literally the 1-2 punch at the top of the order, and the Cardinals have the second best average. 1-2 hitters in the National League to the Colorado Rockies. Why are the Rockies not winning? Every time I look at a stat, it's the Rockies up near the top, whether it's Juan Pierre or the 1-2 hitters. We know their cleanup hitter and their 5th place hitter can hit. They're not pitching, and they just traded away some of that pitching with Estacio going to Houston.
Yep. Well, they remade that team. Now they've dumped it, and now they're trying to remake it again.
To the right side for Giles. Big hop, good throw, 2 out. Our Casino Queen leaderboard features Greg Maddux and where he ranks among active pitchers, and you see why the Braves have accomplished what they have over the last 10 years. They have pitchers number 2 and 3 on that list behind Roger Clemens, who will turn 39 on Saturday. And he has been absolutely unbeatable, 15-1 with the Yankees. 2 out, nobody on, and Pujols takes the ball low. 59 innings now for Maddux without a walk.
Albert had a nice offensive night yesterday. It seems like when Drew's back, he hits.
And there's a shot into the right field corner. That ball is down. Martinez, his momentum carries him into the corner, makes a strong throw, but it's a double. A 2-out double for Albert Pujols.
Albert not the fastest of runners, and Martinez has a pretty strong and accurate throwing arm, but he knew that with that play in front of him, he was going so much into the corner. And as you mentioned, his momentum. Look at the action on that ball coming in on an inside-out swing. Momentum carries him into the corner. Took him an extra step to set and throw, and Pujols decided to challenge him. At normal speed, you can see he's running hard right out of the gate and made the decision himself to try and go for 2, and he was able to do it.
Al McGuire takes it over but low. Big Mac is looking for career home run number 573.
It's tough enough when you're doing it against Greg Maddux, but there's an awful lot of pitchers and great pitchers that he's hit home runs off.
Here's a 1-0, 2-0, and maybe this will be that long-awaited walk. Here's Harmon Killebrew. Video of the man just in front of Mark McGuire. Senator and Twin, where he did most of his damage. Runner at second, 2 out, and a 2-0 pitch is flying into right field. Back is Martinez at the wall to end the inning. Not much of a swing, not very extended, and that just reminds you how strong that big Mark McGuire is. That ball carried to the wall, 370 feet away. That'll do it for the Cardinals. A double, a man left after 1 in St. Louis. No score. This is our Hyundai dealers key matchup. The Cardinals earned run average at home compared to on the road, second biggest differential in the National League. About 3.5 runs per game here at home, and that is the second biggest differential to, you guessed it, a team with a terrific home field advantage, the Florida Marlins.
They'll be coming in here starting Friday with that doubleheader and continuing through the weekend.
So that means if they're going to be here, that means they're not going to be at home.
Yeah, but the first game is sort of their home game.
Good point. What a difference an inning makes.
And now he flips them up for us. Flips them down.
Up, down. 0-1 the count on Martinez. Pretty good pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Is that fastball missed high? Dave Martinez, a .315 hitter. He's done well enough that the Atlanta Braves didn't feel the need to go get another outfielder. Their outfield, really their lineup in general. Surhoff has been so-so. They've got Marcus Giles leading off. Caminiti getting another shot at it with Atlanta. You've got Dave Martinez, who's at the plate. Just took a high strike in the count 1-2. Andrew Jones isn't hitting. They get Ray Sanchez. They have Baco hitting 8th. I mean, this is a very different lineup, and a lineup that definitely can be shut down with good pitching.
They've won all the time through the last 10 years with that great pitching. And Bobby Cox, you said it last night, Joe, and I agree with you 100%. The most underrated manager.
2-2. That'll play for Polanco. Out of the sunlight, into the shade, into the sunlight, 1 away. Bobby Cox, John Schuerholz have put together what is now the oldest team in the major leagues. A combined 33.99 years old. That is the average age.
And I think that was somewhat meaningful when they let Veras go. put in, create more playing time for Giles and also De La Rosa. Need to find West Helms, but they still got Chipper, the Jones boys.
This is one of them, Andrew, who's hitting .259. A Fox Box fun fact: favorite singer, Steer It Up, Bob Marley. Lil Darling, Steer It Up.
How many languages does he speak?
3.
I mean, I know it's something like 4 or 5. From Curacao. They have I think that's a Dutch influence or something there.
You're right. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that's too far down and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kile has allowed 1 hit. That was the bloop double hit by Chipper Jones back in the first. 3 balls, 2 strikes now on Andrew. Greg Maddux on your right. Greg Maddux, 35 years old, signed through next season. And he, with his kind of control and his kind of stuff, will be able to roll on for years. Not a guy that blows you away.
Be interesting to see what kind of offers he gets if he does choose to go to free agency.
Here's a 3-2. Andrew Jones fouls it away. I've heard him quoted as saying, check with me in about 5 years, and if you want to find me, you'll find me dealing behind a blackjack table somewhere in Vegas, which is where he lives. He's got that card player's type brain where he can tell you what you have at the end of a hand in your hand. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. Breaking ball, and Andrew Jones is frozen. That doesn't happen very often in Curacao, but he was frozen. 2 out. The Chinook State in history. August 1st, 1978. Pete Rose goes 0 for 4, ending his 44-game hitting streak in a Reds 16-4 loss against the Braves.
Larry McWilliams started that game. In the final at bat, he struck out against Gene Garber. Had a press conference, and Pete Rose was indignant that the Atlanta Braves retired him.
Inside, ball 1.
Yeah, he was like, you know, like criticizing that the Braves retired him and went 0 for 4, and he's like, wait a minute, you know, what's going on here? Aren't we supposed to?
Here's the first at bat for Ray Sanchez, and like he did when he was wearing a Royals uniform, he puts one down the right field line for what in other ballparks could have been a double. Here it's a well-placed single, and the number 8 hitter Baco will bat.
You get an experienced player in Sanchez. He hit 300 for the Royals. He was hitting over 400 in his last 14 games, I think it was. He goes off the sign there, carries perfectly to Drew, and you and I agree. We thought this was a very good pickup. You get the experience. He's very sound in the field, and he can hit.
Sanchez at first with 2 out, and a strike on the outside corner to Baco. First base umpire tonight is Jim Wolf.
Now watch him run down there. He says, signals that it's fair. Then he runs down to make sure the fan did not interfere with the ball. That's where you saw the other safe sign saying no fan interference. Ball's still in play.
Runner at first, 2 out, no balls, 1 strike. He thought about checking on the runner down at first, and the count 1-1. We have seen, I would say, and I think we talked about this, I either talked about this with you or McCarver or Shannon at some point during the course of the year. I think we have seen better umpiring this year than we did on a consistent basis last year.
No doubt about it. And Joe, I think part of it is because they're being critiqued.
That's on the corner. It's 1-2.
They're being provided with data to evaluate themselves. They go through a review process, and it's just natural. If somebody's keeping an eye on you, you have enough pride that you want to demonstrate that you are equal to in ability as the same players that are playing the game.
Runner at first, 2 out, 1-2. Some of the fielders started to walk away from their positions, thinking that was strike 3. It's 2-2. Get a little more hustle. I think for the most part, these guys have been less confrontational. There are obviously exceptions to that. That pitch was inside, according to pitch tracks.
And, you know, our cameras are a little bit off center, and pitch track is not.
Breaking ball is over but low. 3-2, and the runner at first will go. Pitch tracks is not, says Al Hrabosky, and that nipped the strike zone at the bottom corner of it, away from Baco. But it was called a ball, and it's 3-2, and the runner Sanchez will go. No score in the second. Baco trying to change that. Runner goes, and a strikeout. Kile takes care of Baco, and that's the second strikeout of the night for the curve-balling right-hander. It will be Edmonds, Drew, Renteria for the Cardinals in the second. No score. Cardinal fans, don't forget to visit the Southwest Airlines Family Pavilion for each Sunday home game. The Cardinals, the Magic House, and North Star Ice Cream are sponsoring Ice Cream Sunday. There'll be plenty of free ice cream and lots of activities such as an ice cream eating contest, face painting, and much more. Come join North Star and the Magic House for Ice Cream Sundays before every home Sunday game. A nice treat on a warm Sunday at the ballpark, and this Sunday the Cardinals will be playing the Marlins. Here's Edmonds, and there's a line drive caught by Sanchez. One away. Humpback liner, one pitch, one out in the second. Midwest Sports Report. What's coming up tonight right after the game? The Rams react to the death of Corey Stringer. A feature on Grant Wistrom. And Slayton sounds off on TV sports coverage. That's coming up after the game on the Midwest Sports Report as Drew rolls one over to the right side. Giles to his left, going to take a good play, base hit. The speed of J.D. Drew turns that into a hit. 3 out of 5 since his return as Drew.
Yeah, I'm glad he's not feeling 100%. Trying to get his timing back. Rolls over, and you see Giles was up the middle, so a long run into the outfield. It's a very unorthodox run, and with J.D.'s speed, or unorthodox throw, running one way, you're trying to twist your body to get the throw back off, and J.D., who gets out of that batter's box and pick it up. He saw about 3 steps out of the batter's box. He said, hey, I got a chance for a hit, and turned on the afterburner.
So now Renteria, who had a 4-hit night last night, and I think you tipped us off early after Mitchell Page tipped you off that Renteria is changing his approach at the plate. There's nothing like changing your approach and getting immediate results to reinforce why you're changing your approach, and Renteria got that last night, hitting .238.
Yeah. 4-game hitting streak during that time, 7 for 15, a .467 average. Just a very simple adjustment, not lifting that front leg up too high. One thing to notice today was, as you take a look at Renteria's night last night, 8th time he has 4 hits in a game, first time this year, breaking balls, and look at the fact that most of the time it's up the middle. See, that's a little subtle change, not lifting the leg off the ground, and with that approach, staying on the ball.
1-1 now.
To say that today, watching Mark McGwire, I noticed one of the things that he was doing, and something he's been working a lot with Mitchell Page, he's starting to drive the ball to right field. Remember, he made his first out, was up against the wall in right field. And when he first came up, that's where the majority of his home runs were, out into right center. he starts doing that, Joe, you just said it wasn't a real full swing, and yet it went all the way to the wall.
1 ball, 1 strike. Renteria taps one foul. And with Matheny on deck to count 1 ball, 2 strikes. Good form.
JD kind of taking his lead, and it's always, you know, with great speed, but he has not mastered how to steal bases. And I guess that's a comfortable way for him to take a lead, but it's a little bit unusual.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. And Renteria stays alive. And caught a camera. And the count's still 1-2. The Cardinals check in 2 games over 500. In the division, they gained no ground last night on either Houston or Chicago. The Cubs were winners out in San Diego. Houston won at home in extra innings over the Mets. Houston's 4.5 out. Cards still 8.5 out. Cardinals are 6 out in the wild card race. Here's a 1-2. Instead of throw to first, Drew, bad hand and all, dives back in. The Advanced Auto Parts division standings: the Cubs 62-43, the Cardinals 53-51. And right now it's a 3-team race in the NL Central with Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. Way down the line. Runner goes. Slow roller to short. Sanchez takes care of Renteria, 2 out. Runner at second, 2 away, and the batter will be Matheny with Kile to follow.
And look here, JD off with the pitch, moving. Ball not hit hard enough to turn 2, but with JD running, they didn't have a chance. And Sanchez made that play relatively easy.
Well, this is the sort of hitter that I think Mike Matheny will handle.
Now, the one thing against Maddux is you have to have a controlled swing. You throw inside just enough to keep you honest, but most of the time he's living off the outside part of the plate.
Strike 1 for Maddux. You asked about the Dutch influence and Andrew Jones when Andrew was up in the second inning, and there is a Dutch influence settled 300 years ago by the Dutch, Curacao. And Jones speaks 4 languages.
I knew it was
I only said 3.
yeah, I knew it was more than 3.
1 ball, 1 strike on Matheny. English, Spanish, Dutch, and a language spoken in his homeland called Papiamentos.
I have been to Curacao. Very pretty little port, you know, where the Cardinal cruise comes in. You know that one that Jack Buck's going to be on?
Ground ball to third. Chipper Jones takes care of Matheny, and the inning is over. That's right, he's going this year, at least at this point. We have played 2. Third inning now. Kile back to the hill, no score. Folks, you can enter the AutoZone Sweet Deal Sweepstakes. Stop by any St. Louis area AutoZone store and enter to win 4 tickets to the best seat in the house, the broadcast suite here at Busch Stadium. It's your chance to have the Cardinals' experience of a lifetime. Stop by an AutoZone store today and enter. So there you go. You can join us up here in the booth as Maddux clubs one into left center field. Pujols, a nice running catch. Got a good jump on it. 1 out. 1 pitch, 1 out in the third inning. Now you usually take anywhere from 1 to 6 of those people home with you at night. They get a chance to view you as you sleep and when you get up in the morning and what you eat for breakfast and what you do during the day.
Well,
and
Joe,
then you bring them with you back to the ballpark and change participants.
You know my house is one of the most frequent visited places in Missouri.
I know.
The St. Louis Zoo.
Like Branson.
Oh, the St. Louis Zoo. You know, you haven't been to my new house. I'm right between the bears and the monkeys now.
1 out, nobody on for Marcus Giles. Is that the I for Love Hrabosky cage?
Her cage.
Cage. Here's an 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike on Giles. Marcus grounded out to short his first time up. 283 hitter, and he is trying to fill some big shoes. They're little shoes, but they're big shoes. The shoes used by Rafael Furcal and what he brings to this lineup. Wide throw with the big body of McGuire saves an error. 2 up, 2 down. Here is our What's on Tap, brought to you by Budweiser. With a crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. Marlins and Cardinals Saturday, 7 o'clock, WB11. That will be game 3 of a 4-game set after 2 on Friday. B.J. Surhoff now. Cardinals have not determined who the starter will be for that game. We know that after Bud Smith works tomorrow night here against Tom Glavine, breaking ball for a strength to Surhoff, it will be Matt Morris and Brad Penny in game 1 on Friday, Andy Benes and Jesus Sanchez in game 2. But there's a hole in the rotation, dear Liza. Diving try, and Vigna couldn't come up with it. 9.9 times out of 10 he'll come up with that ball, but a sinking line drive, it's a base hit, and it's 1 on, 2 out for Chipper Jones.
And go for it, and really right off the fingertips, and watch his reaction. So good defensively. He felt like he probably should have made that, but no pitcher on the Cardinals staff that will ever criticize or feel that Vigna never gave it his all.
So a runner at first with 2 out, and Chipper Jones, who hit a bloop double his first time but has 30 home runs, waits. Takes ball 1. 313 average, 30 home runs, 77 RBIs, and the league MVP 2 years ago. Who was the league MVP last year?
Brain dead.
I'm telling you, I had to look it up the other day. 2-0. As the sun has, for the most part, gone down. It's not bothering the playing field. Pujols has discarded the sunglasses after one fell in front of him.
What team?
Jeff Kent.
Oh, yes.
2 balls, no strikes. Runner at first, 2 out. On the corner, good pitch. Jones doesn't think so, and it's 2-1. This is why Chipper Jones did not like the call. According to pitch tracks, that was too far outside.
That wasn't close.
2 balls and a strike. 1 on, 2 out. And that should end the inning. He gets a tricky little hop at the end. And that will do it. The National Spit Tobacco Education Program and its chairman, Joe Garagiola, would like to remind you that smokeless does not mean harmless. No score after 2.5. No score. We go to the bottom of inning number 3. Atlanta's out hit the Cardinals 3-2. 2 of the 3 hits could have been handled. And Darryl Kile, who was pitched around those 3 hits, leads it off. It'll be Kile, then Vigna, then Polanco. And a strike from Maddux. We talk about the walk record, or lack thereof. The National League record is 68 innings without a walk, set by the Giants' Christy Mathewson in 1913 and matched by the Padres' Randy Jones in 1976. Maddux now has gone 60 1/3 innings.
See the Major League record by Bill Fisher. He was a pitching coach when I was in the Kansas City chain.
84 1/3 innings.
84 1/3 innings without issuing a walk.
Here's an 0-2 to Kyle. Maddux won't really talk about it because he says if you get hung up on that record, it might take away from how you approach hitters and how you pitch during the course of the game. So he really doesn't care about that record.
Absolutely. That's the way to think.
Kyle's gone looking, and that is strikeout number 2 for Maddux. He says sometimes it's necessary to walk somebody. Saturday on FX Saturday Baseball, Mike Sweeney and the Royals take on Doug Mientkiewicz and the Minnesota Twins as they try to keep pace in the tough AL Central. Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on FX. Watch the entire baseball season unfold across the Fox networks, and congratulations to our own Doug Stanton. What do you call him? The graphics guru? Who will be working Thursday baseball in Cleveland tomorrow. Let's see who they have. They have Oakland. Vina grounds one to Giles. 2 up, 2 down. And the batter will be Polanco with the bases empty.
It's a shame that we will not be broadcasting ourselves, or we could do justice to one of our good buddies in the truck. Tom McLaughlin will be turning 50 tomorrow.
Some would say 50, some would say half a century. Others would say 25 times 2.
Others would say happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Tom McLaughlin. Do you feel like singing to him?
Yeah.
All right, we'll sing to him going to break, which hopefully will be in a while. But right now it doesn't look that way. With 2 out, nobody on, 1 ball, no strikes on Polanco. And 1-1. Pujols, who has one of the 2 Cardinal hits, waits to bat next.
That's what we expected. Probably a few more hits in this game than we would have thought. 5, and here we are in the 3rd inning between 2 pitchers.
That's low, 2-1.
It isn't surprising that it's a scoreless game. And Joe, what you're talking about is not a situation like this. You fall behind 2-1 with Maddux walking. But what if you got into a game, you don't have your real good stuff, you've got runners at 2nd and 3rd, first base is open, and you have Mark McGwire up, and you've got the pitcher up on deck.
That's hard hit, but Jones makes a good play on a backhand. Bad throw and a collision for the out. And hopefully Polanco's okay.
Well, he got laid out, and he's much lighter than Caminetti.
So the big body of Caminetti went up into the air after the high throw by Chipper Jones, and Polanco crashed right into him.
Well, hopefully it's just the wind knocked out of him here. He makes the fine defensive play, and then he slings the ball over high, and look at Caminetti. He might have got a knee right into the chest. Totally unintentional, but he puts those knees up, and they had to make contact right around the chest or stomach area. He's starting to move now, but let's take a look at it one more time. He's running hard. He's running, looking and going up here, and then all of a sudden, oh. He's now standing bent over, so I mean it looks like it was probably just the wind knocked out of him, just shook him up a little bit, but that's a good sign right now.
That is terrific. They look at the right eye of Polanco. Arusa asking him if he's all right. And Brad Henderson is checking his pupils to make sure he didn't suffer a concussion. So the ground out 5-3. Kile is already taking his warm-up tosses, and it looks like Polanco's okay. He gets his glove, his hat, and he's going to stay in the game. We'll sing later, Tom. Don't worry, no score after 3. Polanco is in the game. He's okay. 1 ball, 1 strike on Caminetti. A breaking ball is low. 2-1. And we're underway in the 4th inning. No score. Kile is matching Maddux pitch for pitch. As is usually the case, the guy who lays out a third baseman leads off the next half inning after a play at first. And they count 2-2.
It just absolutely amazes me how frequent that happens.
Oh, ridiculous. Kyle got a new baseball. He didn't like it. When a pitcher throws a new baseball back, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask you, why do they immediately throw it back? What are they looking for with that specific ball?
It's not look, it's feel. And sometimes you will get a ball. There can be, it used to be more prevalent when the women of Haiti sewed the baseballs, Joe. But the girls of Costa Rica have much stronger hands, and so the seams are very tight on the baseballs today. But at times, like a breaking ball pitcher like Kyle, he'd want one with raised seams, and fastball pitcher like myself wanted one with, virtually no raising seams, because you didn't want that air friction to produce the break.
So you're looking for less air friction. You're looking for a less drag, more aerodynamically sound baseball.
And this left hand is just so perfected that I could feel that seam that was like 1 millisecond higher than the baseball I rejected.
Here's a ground ball to first. Caminiti is gone. And we look at the quality starts graphic, a stat developed by and continued by agents across America. Quality starts meaning 6 or more innings, allowing 3 runs or less.
That's an arbitration stat that they came up with so they could say, well, my guy led the league in quality starts, but he lost 15 games, and only won 4. So he deserves $20 million.
One spring training, I ran across 2 agents who are good guys and good friends, and they showed me a statistical sheet of a certain pitcher. The wins and losses weren't on there, but the quality starts were, and the different statistics. And I said, now, if you were taking that into arbitration, wouldn't you think that that player would deserve a nice raise from what he made the year before? And I looked at the numbers. I said, well, what was his record? And they said, well, don't ask that. I said, well, what was his record? And they said, well, it's Anthony Young.
Oh, that's right. He lost 20.
Who had, over the course of 2 years, it wasn't within a season, I think lost 20 consecutive decisions or in that neighborhood. Wasn't winning at all, yet, according to his agents, had one quality start after another and was due a raise. 1 out, nobody on. Dave Martinez takes a strike. He doesn't like that call, and instead of 3-1, it's 2-2. So there's a break for Kyle.
Martinez didn't like that ball, and it was a bit outside. Bobby Cox, he's been through it. He's seen all the arguments that they can come up with. Remember, he was general manager for a while.
He is responsible for a lot of the members of this team, including John Smoltz. He was the general manager when that trade was made for Doyle Alexander, one of those trade deadline deals.
Trade deadline deals. But Detroit was trying to win, right? And they helped, and Doyle helped them win that year. John Smoltz may be going to the Hall of Fame.
Still 2-2 on Dave Martinez. Doyle that year was also 67 years old when he was traded for Smoltz. Appeared with 4 teams in 2000. I can name one of them. Tampa Bay. Was he with the Cubs?
Tampa Bay, the Cubs, and 2 American teams.
Martinez is gone, 2 away. Texas
and Toronto.
That is strikeout number 4 for Kyle. And today's Aflac trivia question is, who is the only player to hit 300 for 4 different teams? We understand there is a clue somewhere to be found on your screen. Andrew Jones takes ball 1 up and in. We're in the top of the 4th. There's no score. 2 out, nobody on. Jones so far is 0 for 5 in this series with 23 home runs on the season. 1-1. No other action yet in the National League. Houston hosting New York will get underway shortly. And most of the action is west of St. Louis. Here's a 1-1. 1-2. Seattle leads at Detroit 3-zip in the early innings. Cleveland at home over Oakland 3-1. Doug Stanton is paying attention to that score, heading off to Cleveland for tomorrow's game. Minnesota and Toronto, 1-0 Toronto, bottom of the fourth. And the Yankees at home winning again, 7-1 after 2 over Texas after losing last night. Say winning again, they had an 8-game winning streak. Andrew Jones with the bases empty is set up at 1-2, and Darryl Kile drops down and misses 2-2.
Been holding that pitch back. So why use it in this situation?
It set up that pitch. That's why. Let's go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tom McLaughlin. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Our Aflac trivia question: who is the only player to hit 300 for 4 different teams? The answer is not Gussie, it's not Gibby, it's Rogers Hornsby. Cardinals, Giants, Braves, Cubs. That's too far inside. Ball 1 to Albert Pujols, and we're underway in the bottom of the fourth. No score. It'll be Pujols, McGuire, and Edmonds against Greg Maddux. 1-1.
Sure, one of the oddities was when J.D. Drew left the lineup due to injury. In those 35 games, Albert Pujols really struggled.
2 balls and a strike. Well, Drew was back in the lineup last night. He's in the lineup tonight. And Albert is hitting .500 in this series. Trying to get something going here. Pujols doubled down the right field line his first time up. And now he's 2 for 2 as he smokes one back into center. So Pujols is aboard. Rounds first base hard as always, and Albert starts the inning with a hit. You enjoy a great 2-for-1 deal. Then you got to check out Friday's game. 2 days from now, August 3rd, Cardinals and Marlins. Not only will you get to see a doubleheader, when you purchase a Terrace reserved seat, you'll also receive a free hot dog and soda. 2 games, a hot dog and soda, only $19. For kids 15 and under, it's only $8. Give the Cardinals charge line a call, 314-421-2400 or STLCardinals.com. McGuire takes strike 1 on the inside corner.
And Joe, I just got the information from the ticket office, and there's 11,000 seats available for that doubleheader. 8,000 for tomorrow night, 6,500 or 6,500 for tomorrow, 11,000 for Friday night, 6,000 for Saturday, 14,000 for Sunday's game. Bunch of seats for the Cincinnati series and Philadelphia.
0-2 on McGuire. In case you haven't noticed, Philadelphia will be a team the Cardinals will chase in the wild card standing. Arizona leads that race, 2 games up on Houston, 2.5 up on San Francisco, 3 up on Philadelphia, 6 up on the Cardinals. Here's an 0-2 to McGuire from Maddux. Thought he had the outside corner, did not. 1-2. And Bobby Cox and Leo Mazzoni are barking at Hunter Wendelstedt from the dugout. Now Wendelstedt takes his mask off and looks into the dugout.
Well, you can see how far outside it was, but from their vantage point, they saw that it had the correct height, but well off the plate.
1 on, nobody out. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and McGuire hits one back to Maddux. They get 1, they get 2. So Maddux would prefer that anyway. Instead of a strikeout, he gets a 1-4-3 double play, 2 away.
Maddux, not only is he a great pitcher, but a tremendous athlete. He can help himself swinging the bat or a 5th infielder when he fields his position. He is just so sound, everything about his game. So, I mean, he truly is a master of his craft. Nice and easy. Right there. Slide. Giles avoids the sliding Pujols.
Now with 2 out, nobody on after a strike to Edmonds. The pitch to the right side, and Giles. That'll do it for the Cardinals. A leadoff hit, a double play ball followed. This is exactly what people expected with this matchup. Kile and Maddux, no score after 4. This portion of Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Auto Tire. For the very best in tires and service, you ought to go to Auto Tire. By Aflac, without it, no insurance is complete. And by Steak and Shake, famous for our steak burgers. Warm night in St. Louis. Bottom part of the order for Atlanta. Top of the 5th, no score. And Ray Sanchez, who has 1 hit and 1 Braves at bat, takes a strike. He singled past McGuire down the right field line his first time up.
Sanchez was acquired by the Braves for a couple minor leaguers. He batted .303 in 100 games for the Royals.
Good pitch in on his hands, and Polanco takes care of the rest. Sanchez is 1 out of 2. And there's 1 out here in the 5th inning. Now, Al Hrabosky, explain what we are gazing at here.
Well, this was the Hungo pitch, and you can read this little caption that is on the photograph by Don Marquis, a fine art photographer. His proceeds will go to Cardinals Care. This is the famous Hungo pitch that was outlawed by Major League Baseball and Buck Kuhn.
It says right here in black and white, this pitch thrown in the 230-mile-per-hour range by Al Hrabosky, the mad Hungarian, was outlawed by organized baseball and deemed, quote-unquote, totally unhittable.
Now, Buck Kuhn, in his wisdom or whatever, said that I'd be the greatest pitcher in the history of the game, and that was not good for baseball. So he outlawed the Hungo pitch, thrown not between the index and middle finger, but through the ring finger and middle finger. He came out with a screwball rotation at only 200. It did touch 230 one time, but it normally was about 212.
So there you go. How can people get their hands on one?
Well, it's going to be eventually at the team store, but it's at Marquis Gallery at Union Station. And as we said, my portion of the proceeds will all go to Cardinals Care.
Terrific. So another revenue source for Cardinals Care and Al Hrabosky, the Hungo pitch. And we look at our super fans for tonight's game. If you're at one of our televised games, make a banner or sign, include Fox Sports Net in the design. If we pick you, you'll win a t-shirt and a hat. For details, call Fox Sports Net, 314-206-7000. Here's Maddux, strike 1.
These fans were from Oklahoma. I understand just about all of our games are getting down there now.
Maddux has a base hit, hard hit through the left side, and after lining out to the left fielder his first time up, Maddux is on with 2 out here in the 5th inning.
I said that he's just a natural. I mean, he can field his position. He hits extremely well. 10 gold gloves, and we know he's just always a Cy Young candidate. Excellent golfer. Just a natural athlete. You see him in street clothes and his spectacles on, you'd think he's an accountant.
With 2 out, a breaking ball for a strike to Giles. Giles tonight 0 for 2. He's grounded out to short twice. Reaching for it, and it's 0-2. Nice-sized crowd here tonight, and it's been growing as we have gone along. Of course, we started an hour early, so if you're just tuning in, typically catching baseball at 7 o'clock Central Time. We started a little over an hour ago, and we're in the 5th inning of a scoreless game. Runner at first, 2 outs, sidearm pitch, and Giles looks at ball 1. A 1-2. Drops down again, and there's a base hit to right. Maddux will go first to third. And it is first and third with B.J. Surhoff coming up. With a hit could put Atlanta on top.
He dropped down again, but he did not locate the ball where he wanted it. Kind of stayed up and in, and inside out stroke into right field. So that is the 5th Atlanta hit, the first time they've had 2 in an inning, but both of them come with 2 outs.
It's like McGuire standing over there with his son. As Surhoff stands in with first and third, 2 out.
Joe, I know Surhoff, BJ, has played in the American League, but I didn't realize he is 20 hits away from 2,000. Didn't realize he'd been around that long.
There's Mark and Matt McGuire over at first. First pitch to Surhoff. That's into right center field. Can Edmonds get to it? Coasting. That means he's there, and the inning is over. 2 hits, a deep fly ball, but Edmonds knows what to do with that. Drew will lead it off for the Cardinals. Bottom of the 5th. No score. Nothing. Bottom of the 5th inning, halfway through it. Good pitching. Kile and Maddux. The Midwest Sports Report is coming your way. That's right after this game. They get after it an hour earlier than usual. Rams react to the death of Minnesota Viking Corey Stringer. Grant Wistrom feature. And Kevin Slayton sounds off on TV sports coverage. That's immediately after the game. Tony La Russa wondering if his team can put a little run together here. They have to continue what they started last night against a Hall of Famer, Greg Maddux. And J.D. Drew is first up in the 5th. And that's easy for Chipper Jones. Boy. Drew 1 out of 2, and the batter will be Renteria, who grounded out to short his first time up. If you'd like to win Cardinal tickets and participate in the Southwest Airlines Family of the Game promotion during a Cardinal home game, here's your chance. Send your name, address, and phone number to Southwest Airlines Family of the Game, P.O. Box 771192, St. Louis, Missouri, 63177, and we wish you luck. Renteria, strike 1 and a foul tip. Edgar hitting .238. First time up, the first time he was retired in this series. Tomorrow night it'll be Bud Smith, the left-hander, against Tom Glavine. Oh, and 2.
Watch how Maddux can dominate these hitters, and you just go back and think about it. He has a 2.49 ERA. Think about Gibson's 1.12.
A little flare on the infield for Giles. 2 up, 2 down. He and McLean and the rest of Major League Baseball in 1968 having that year of the pitcher, and prior to the next year some of the rules were changed, including lowering of the pitching mound. And in his career, Maddux 254 wins, only 140 losses, and his career ERA isn't bad either.
Yeah, you saw that 254 wins, 102 complete games. That's, by today's standards, that is way up there. Gibson had 251 complete games.
He had, sorry Al, he had one of, some people consider the best season in the history of baseball compared to what was going on around him in the major leagues when he went 19-2 in 1995. To the left side, Jones backs up, but he lives to tell if he makes a good throw, and he does. In 95, 19-2 was Maddux with a 1.63 ERA after a year in which he had a 1.56 ERA. One of the best ever. He shut out the Cardinals through 5.
You're watching Fox Sports Net.
Cardinal fans, every Friday during the season, it's Busch Bash Night at the ballpark. Come to the Southwest Airlines Family Pavilion every Friday throughout the season for a pregame party featuring live bands, former players, and the opportunity to win tickets for the Busch Bleacher Zone. Each fan in the zone has the chance to win up to $5,000, all courtesy of Busch Beer. That's Busch Bash Night every Friday night game here at home. Chipper Jones, heart of the order for the Atlanta Braves in a tough inning here in the 6th with no score for Kile. Jones takes a high strike. He didn't like the call. It's 0-1.
Hunter Wendelstedt has been very consistent with the ball up and outside.
Hard hit, but right at Vina. There's a big threat gone. One away. Jones 1 out of 3, and his hit was that flare that fell in left in front of Pujols. 1 out. Here comes Caminiti. They miss Brian Jordan, who was out after he called tearing up his knee on that slick bag play at first base in Montreal. Likely going to miss this series, and if they get him back within the next week, considering how nasty that injury looked at the time, it's just fine with Atlanta. Here's Caminiti with 1 out, and Ken is 0 for 2 tonight.
So I don't think the Cubs have had their 6-game series with Atlanta yet. I don't think they've played them at all. That's an area where we can maybe pick up some ground.
One ball, 1 strike. The Atlanta Braves will play the Chicago Cubs at the end of August, last day of August, the first 2 days of September. And they will play again the next week, so they have 2 series with Chicago, the Atlanta Braves do.
The only teams we have not seen is what, Atlanta and, excuse me, LA and San Diego.
And the Cardinals will, at least they're approaching going out there, while the Cubs are out there right now. The Cubs winners last night in San Diego. They play there the next 2 days, and then they are in Los Angeles over the weekend. Here's a 2-2 to Caminiti. Oh, breaking ball, and Kile doesn't get the call. 3-2. Looked like Caminiti was ready to give up.
Yeah, he was at the mercy of the home plate umpire, and it was the correct call. It was outside with a breaking ball, but I've seen that pitch called.
And now a fastball too far inside. Caminiti draws a 1-out walk. That's the first walk handed out by Kile. 1 on, 1 out. This weekend, don't miss exciting WTA action as Fox Sports brings you the Acura Tennis Classic. Coverage begins Friday at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox Sports Net with quarterfinal action, and continues Saturday with the semifinals. On Sunday, tune to your local Fox affiliate for complete coverage of the finals. The Acura Tennis Classic all weekend long across the Fox networks. Here is Dave Martinez, hitless in the series, 0 for 5, batting with 1 on, 1 out. Ball 1.
Joe, one of the biggest differences with Darryl Kile is his ability now to throw strikes and quality strikes. At one time, he was a very wild pitcher, but that is something that he has really learned how to control his pitches in the zone. The 3-to-1 strikeout walk ratio this year.
Kile likes the pitch called for by Matheny, and I'll say on the outside corner, 1-1. Cardinals in the bottom of the 6th will have Kile, then Vina, then Polanco. What will the score be? A total of 8 hits, and the Braves have 5 of them. No score in the 6th. Breaking ball to break, 2-1.
Pitch count 85 right now. 8 balls, 7 strikes.
Significant stat, 76 or more pitches. He has clamped down on the opponents, and Kile usually goes well over 100 pitches during the course of any start as he steps off and looks at Caminiti. Darryl Kile has been everything the Cardinals could have ever hoped for when they traded for him from Colorado. When you talk about a rebound under the tutelage of Dave Duncan, he has done an about face, and he's one of the best in the league. The 2-1 into center field, and a walk, a hit, produces trouble.
Darryl Kile is 30-16 with a 3.61 ERA in his 56 games as a member of the Cardinals. But he's in jeopardy here with 1 out, a couple guys on. Ball right back up the middle. It was catches enough of the strike zone, a controlled swing, just kind of lifting it up and over the infield. 6th hit allowed by Darryl.
His career here at home inside the overall numbers. Very impressive. He's in trouble here, though. 2 on, 1 out. Andrew Jones at the plate. And there's a big out. If somebody can find it with that high sky. Renteria's got the angle on it. It's a foul ball. And that's the 2nd out of the inning. Now it's up to Ray Sanchez. And right now, pitchers are having their way with Andrew Jones.
Unbelievable, Joe, how he has tailed off. And let's see, watch this stroke. See, he's getting underneath everything. Big looping swing. And Andrew has been really struggling for quite a while. He came in tonight batting .188 in his last 101 games and put another 0 for 3 on him.
2 on, 2 out now for Sanchez. 1 out of 2 with the Atlanta Braves, and he takes a strike and at the knees.
Be an instant hero with his teammates with a well-placed hit here.
And it better be well placed with Caminiti, the lead runner, at second base. Cardinals right now have 3 good arms in the outfield with Pujols, Edmonds, and Drew. 1 ball, 1 strike with Baco, a left-handed hitting catcher, on deck.
And Bobby Cox's catcher batting, probably batting under 200 now. And with Maddux, you know, he doesn't like to throw to Lopez. You don't think he would pinch hit.
Here's a 1-1. 1 and 2. And now Matheny's going to trot out, and they are going to make sure with this next offering to Sanchez that it's what both of them want. And now that Caminiti's had a while to read signs out at second base, they want to get their signs straight.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, these kind of games, Darryl Kile, after this pitch, calls for Matheny to come out. Let's discuss this. Let's make sure we're on the same page, because one pitch with these 2 starters going could determine the outcome.
Maddux, an interested observer on the dugout bench. 2 on, 2 out. The 1-2. Breaking ball is fouled away.
We're up here sweating in the booth, and those guys are out there pitching and not breaking, not a bead of sweat on them.
Greg Maddux certainly doesn't look too bad, and Kyle for the most part. At least he's not sweated through his hat. Last night, Dustin Hermanson, first inning, that thing was a deeper shade of red before he got out of the first.
Maddux only thrown 48 pitches through 5.
Here's a 1-2. 2 and 2. Sanchez, a .300 hitter with the Kansas City Royals. He got 1 hit after another, not only this year but last year in interleague play against Cardinal pitching. So Mike Matheny and the dugout bench aware of what Sanchez has done to him the last 2 years, and maybe they'll change their approach.
You just make sure that what you're throwing, you have a full mental commitment. And I think it's got to be, you don't want to hang a breaking ball, but you've got to pitch off the plate.
That should end the inning. Renteria goes to first, and the inning continues. They're going to give a base hit to load him up. Renteria looked at second, double clutched, went to first, and it was too late.
So he's going to go to second. The ball kind of come up on him, and then he changed his mind, and Sanchez, running hard all the way, beats it out. So it's a tough break right there. I guess he felt that there was not that much separation between Vina and Martinez going from first to second. See how far Vina has to go. Comes up on him a little bit. You thought that Vina would be there, and maybe a little bit late. You saw Martinez was sliding, so he didn't feel that was a safe move, but give Sanchez credit running hard all the way. But here's that scenario we talked about. Baco hitting 198.
And a strike as Kile starts him the right way on one, and Baco didn't like the call.
And somebody just got tossed. Bobby Cox just got tossed from the dugout, so he's going to get his money's worth now.
Bad knees and all, Bobby Cox is going to trot out and talk to Hunter Wendelstedt. Complained about the pitch and asked why he was just thrown out of the game.
And Bobby has complained several times on some outside pitches and up in the zone. And at times he's had a legitimate gripe. All right, here's the pitch. We're talking about a breaking ball. Look at how high it starts, but where's it across the plate? According to pitch tracks, it is a strike. It's at the top of the zone. But it started so high, but it's a breaking ball, so it's coming down. And Feeney obviously catches it in the strike zone, and by pitch tracks, it indicated it was one.
So now it gets to the point, as you see Hunter Wendelstedt throw Cox out of the game, that Kyle's standing there watching this. You hope he can keep his concentration. So Matheny's going to hustle back there behind the plate and try to get it going again. But these home plate umpires now have the excuse, if you want to say it. They have the fallback position of, hey, they want us to call the high strikes. You got a problem with those high strikes? Check with the league, not me.
Well, yeah, that's and by pitch tracks, it verified that it was a strike. I think Bobby saw the big loop, but when it's where it crosses the plate.
Now an 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the crowd has fun with the home plate umpire, Hunter Wendelstedt. Well, an infield hit by Sanchez. It wasn't pretty, but it set up a bases loaded 2-out situation for Atlanta, and Paul Baco could give the Braves the big hit they've been looking for. 1-2. Third base umpire is Randy Marsh. He's the crew chief. And he's watching to make sure that Cox disappears down the steps and up the runway.
And that's probably where he is, disappeared just to the runway.
Or right up watching television.
Most of the time they keep a pretty close watch.
1 ball, 2 strikes, bases loaded, 2 out. Kile trying to get out of a tough spot in the 6th. That's foul. Baco has been with Detroit. We've seen him with Houston. Now he's with Atlanta. And it's not a bad career choice to be linked with Greg Maddux, especially when he's won 10 decisions in a row. He's aiming for a National League record with consecutive innings pitched without a walk. And Baco's been there receiving most of it. Bases loaded, 2 out, a ball and 2 strikes. Baco into left field. Pujols got it. What a play. What a break on that ball. And Albert Pujols took a hit away. The defense let down Kile earlier in the inning. The defense picked them up, and young Albert Pujols made a heck of a play. That keeps it scoreless through 5 1/2. No score into the bottom of the 6th inning. Fox sounds in the game. If you're a Major League umpire, here's what it sounds like if you get ejected. See you later at the end. You're gone, you're done. And Bobby Cox has been ejected. Darryl Kile took a strike from Maddux, and we are underway in the bottom of the 6th. 1 ball, 1 strike on Darryl, who has 7 hits and 49 at-bats. Vigna, Polanco will follow. 1 and 2 on Kile.
Maddux was upset he threw a ball. Another gem by Greg Maddux, one of the best ever, a 3-hitter to this point.
Kyle at least going to make him work as he is up over the 50 pitch mark here tonight.
Yeah. How many pitchers do you see get 50 and through 2? 51. 15 balls, 36 strikes.
And a little clunker. Maddux with all those gold gloves on his mantle takes care of Kyle. 1 away. Our Pennzoil protection play is no doubt this. The catch with the bases loaded, 2 out on a sinking line drive hit by Baco.
Well, he got a great jump on it, but look at the body control, running full speed, reaching down, backhanding the ball and holding on to it. That's a terrific play at a crucial point in the game.
I think you're right. You mentioned it earlier that, I guess you mentioned it last night, that Pujols appears a lot more comfortable in left than he does right. And in his defense, not necessarily defense, but people should know that he's really still learning how to play the outfield, period. Right, left, whatever.
But stop and think about this too, Joe. Natural position, third base, playing left field, you're used to seeing the ball come off the bat from that angle. And so in the right field, it was just absolutely foreign to him.
Vigna with a base hit. He's 2 out of 8 in this series, and Fernando is on with 1 out here in the 6th.
Well, you can't overswing against Greg Maddux. Well, it almost looked like he recognized an off-speed pitch, kept the hands back, and there he slipped going around first and gets back. But you know, you just have to have a very controlled swing, and that's why in this era of a lot of strikeouts, guys down on the knob swinging as hard as they possibly can. I mean, a guy like Maddux is just a surgeon against you. You've got to have the swing of Vigna or Polanco, guys that put the ball in play and guide it.
1 on, 1 out, and a check on Vigna. Fernando running at first. He has stolen 11, been caught 3 times.
Extended his hitting streak to 6 games. Polanco is looking to extend his to 10.
Trying to go to right. 0-1. Last time up, Polanco hit one to third. Chipper Jones let one go. It put Caminiti in the air, and when Ken came down, Polanco was at the bag, and the collision, like Polanco got the wind knocked out of him, may have gotten a piece of the right side of the face of Polanco, the body of Caminiti, but he's all right. Chipper Jones has had some arm trouble the past couple of years that he's trying to get through, and that arm trouble may have had something to do with that bad throw that took off on him.
First time I saw Chipper, he was a shortstop in the Sally League. Spoke at the Sally League All-Star banquet. He was tall and skinny back then.
Now he's tall and huge. 1 ball, 1 strike. Polanco still trying to go to right. It's 1-2. In a pinch, they can put Chipper Jones at short still. Not over an extended period of time, but he moves well enough to get around at shortstop.
There's been a lot of speculation of putting him in the outfield or first base.
He doesn't seem to fight any of that talk either.
No.
As opposed to Piazza, who wants no part of changing positions. No score in the 6th inning. A runner at first, 1 out. And a check on Vigna. Word out of New York is that Mike Piazza in the near future will not be changing positions and going to first. They have Todd Zeile signed there for another year, and they're kind of loaded down with his contract. Here's a 1-2. Runner going as Polanco gets a base hit to left, and Vigna will go to third. It gets past Surhoff. Vigna's going to score. Cardinals lead 1-0 on a hit and an error.
BJ was instrumental in the go-ahead run last night. A poor throw to the plate when Vigna scored, and here he tried to field the ball cleanly. The base hit extends Polanco's hitting streaks to 10 games. BJ coming over there and did not catch the ball cleanly. Deflected it, had to go back. Vigna saw it all the way, so did Oquendo, and he sent him all the way, and not a play.
Nearly leveling Hunter Wendelstedt, the home plate umpire. Vigna crosses the plate, the first run of the night. And now Pujols, who's 2 for 2, stands in with Polanco at second after the error. And still only 1 out. So a single, E7, no RBI. But there's your 10-game hitting streak as Vigna and Polanco, that good 1-2 punch at the top of the lineup, make it happen here in the 6th inning. Pujols grounds to short. Sanchez will go to third, safe. The ball got away. The umpire doesn't see it. Or maybe not. Am I dreaming? It looked like the ball trickled away, but Jones had it. And that is the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, heads-up play by Sanchez. The only play he had was the play in front of him. And a little bit risky by Polanco, but you can understand why he went. Thought it wasn't going to be hit hard enough. So he thought he could get over there, but Sanchez was very alert to it. And there's the tag in front of the bag. It's his hand, Joe. I think it's the
his wristband.
Yeah, the wristband that you saw, and thought that it was the ball.
The left wristband, I thought that was the ball sitting there. So my mistake. It is a fielder's choice 6-5, and now McGuire bats with Pujols at first and 2 out.
You know, it was one of those plays where Polanco tried to do a little too much. The rule of thumb is you advance if the ball's behind you. Sometimes a slow hit ball, you think you can get ahead of it.
Oh, pitch low and away, called a strike, 1-1. There is action for the Braves in their bullpen. It's a guy named Smoltz getting loose.
He'll never amount to anything.
No way.
Oh, they're rookies, right?
What a weapon that is coming out of their bullpen.
He has been effective.
1 on, 2 out. McGuire hits one to center. Back at the wall. This one is gone. And Mark McGuire has tied Harmon Killebrew for 5th on the all-time list with number 573. McGuire's last 9 hits have been home runs as he makes his charge up the all-time home run list.
Well, Joe, he's been working on with Mitchell Page of going to the right field and up the middle. And you know what? You could just see how strong he is. Still not 100%, or the ball goes up on the backdrop. But these fans want a curtain call. Another record for McGuire is the fact now that with those his last 9 hits all being home runs, that surpasses Albert Bell. He was the leader of having 8 consecutive hits being home runs.
Now one at the shoe tops of Edmonds for ball 1.
Maddux doesn't give up many home runs. That was only the 10th this season, but it's a mammoth one. I remember earlier, didn't he Was it last year that McGuire hit a grand slam off of Maddux?
Down and in, 2-0 on Edmonds.
I think I remember one in Atlanta. Been getting to do some simple. At that ball, a four-seamer, and it just a little bit out over the plate for him.
A smile crept onto his face as he watched that thing sail out of here. 421 feet from home plate out into the bushes. He knew that thing was gone the second it left the bat.
Absolutely. That had that nice trajectory, and you knew that it was powdered.
You mentioned it last night. You can tell by the distance of these home runs how they sound and how far they're carrying that his knee is getting healthier as he goes along.
But still, you can see that it's not 100% by the fact that they aren't, 50 feet further.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Edmonds as he tried to unload. The Cardinals lead 3-0 in the 6th. Mark McGuire has tied Harmon Killebrew for 5th on the all-time list. Washington Senator, Minnesota Twin, 573 career home runs.
How did Minnesota ever let him go to Kansas City at the end? Unbelievable.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, and Edmonds grounds one just fine. What did he have? 11 after his first 5 seasons?
Yes, isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
we learned that.
We learned that on our Saturday game back in Chicago. Killebrew had only 11 home runs after his first 5 seasons in the big league.
You touched on it yesterday, but I think Frank Robinson is very reachable now.
He's got 2 months to hit 13 home runs.
He's been...
Edmonds strikes out. He had the count in his favor, 3-0. He's gone, and the inning is over, but not before damage is done. Greg Maddux gives up 3 runs, 3 hits. The capper, number 573 for number 25. 3-0 after 6. This portion of Cardinal Baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Jack in the Box, where we don't make it till you order it. By your local St. Louis Chrysler Jeep dealers, the official automotive sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals on Fox Sports Net. And by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. For tires and complete auto service, all you need is Dobbs. Heath Lockhart leads it off and bats for Maddux, who's finished after going 6. We're in the 7th inning already. 3-0 Cardinals. Lockhart, then Giles, then Surhoff for Atlanta. And that's out number 1 as Edmonds goes back to his left. Lockhart, the pinch hitter, is retired, and Kile has outpitched Maddux here tonight. One of the last pitches that Maddux threw here tonight went 421 feet.
Got those arms extended, drives the ball out into center field, out there in the grass. It's his 11th home run since the All-Star break.
So with 1 out, here's Giles, who takes low. Marcus has 1 hit, 3 at-bats. Surhoff, who committed an error in that 3-run bottom of the 6th, is on deck. Be nice to get these 2 and leave the heart of their order for the 8th. The heart of their order is a lot different than it used to be. Most games allowing 2 or fewer runs. The Cardinals tied for the major league lead, and that's more support statistically for this pitching staff.
Absolutely. You know, it's Kyle last year won 20 games, but he has a better ERA this year. And he's had 10. He's gotten very little run support. He and Matt Morris of late have pitched well. Well, Matt didn't pitch well in Chicago, but prior to that time, they had been pitching brilliant baseball, but getting no run support.
The Cardinals as a team have a better ERA than they did a year ago at this time. The standings look a lot different. There's a fly ball into center, well hit by Giles. Edmonds back to get it. 2 up, 2 down. So Kile comes back from a 3-0 count to get Giles, and the batter will be B.J. Surhoff.
Take a look at the home run by McGuire. You see it's on the outer half. in the strike zone and got the arms extended and lift off. Away she went, 421 feet.
Surhoff tonight is 1 out of 3. And a strike on the outside corner. If Bobby Cox were here, he wouldn't like that call either. So Surhoff argues mildly with Wendelstedt.
You know, Wendelstedt has been consistent. Balls have been outside. He's called them strikes.
1-1.
That one a little too far out.
Big swing, strike 2. Surhoff only 6 home runs. An average of 270 and only 43 RBI. Good pitch, inning over. Surhoff flings the bat away, the helmet away, and the Braves are finished in the top of the 7th. Darryl Kile out pitching Greg Maddux here tonight. Bottom of the 7th, time to stretch. 3-0 Cardinals. With Corey Lawrence in the background, we will tell you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. And as always, Cardinal Baseball is a production of Bud Sports and is an exclusive presentation of Fox Sports Net.
There's Corey's dad right behind him, right?
That is John.
And as typical, dads have to work, sons get to play.
J.D. Drew first up against John Smoltz out of the bullpen. Coming back from Tommy John surgery, and this is his first year back, so he is going the way of the Morris.
Well, you know, earlier in the season, he came back and he was in the rotation, struggled, started having some problems, so they put him back on the disabled list, and now he's making his 6th appearance out of the bullpen, and he's only given up 2 hits out of there. And they're using Matt Morris as an example.
To the third baseman, Ricky Hop, and Chipper Jones plays it. Drew is gone, retired for the 2nd time tonight. J.D. 1 out of 3, and the batter will be Renteria. Edgar tonight, after a 4-hit effort last night, is 0 for 2 and now deals with a different type pitcher in Smoltz from Greg Maddux.
Think about the weapon he could be out of the bullpen.
95 miles an hour he hits with that pitch to Renteria.
After Maddux, that looks like about 105.
Late swing and a foul, 0-2. Well, theoretically, if Smoltz can pitch in back-to-back games, and he says he feels good enough to do it. I know he did it in his minor league rehabilitation assignment. He could be looking at the Braves closer in the postseason. Here's an 0-2. That's well hit down the right field line's got a chance in the corner. It is fair. And a single for Renteria, who must have been watching as he was rounding the first base bag. Martinez got it back in, and Edgar standing at first with his first hit of the night.
But I'll tell you one thing. Fastball up and away, and it's that approach of going away, 96 miles an hour. He's kind of watching it, but Martinez played it absolutely perfect. The dead run into the corner, was it going to be high enough and just by inches, but there he bare hands it on the first hop and got the ball in so quickly, and Renteria standing only at first base.
And like you are saying, I don't think there's anything more Renteria could have done. Ball was perfectly played by Martinez in right. And now it's Matheny with a runner at first, 1 out with Kile on deck. We're in the bottom of the 7th, runner at first, 1 out. The Braves in the 8th inning will have Chipper Jones, Ken Caminiti, and Dave Martinez. Anybody gets on, Andrew Jones against Kile. That was well played by Caminiti as that thing almost got behind Renteria. The Cardinals, in case you're wondering, as a group have only 2 complete games. They've had 6 thrown against them. Kile has 1 of the 2, Morris the other.
Both of them have been shutouts by those co-aces.
1 on, 1 out. Matheny takes a fastball for a strike. Mike tonight is hitless. He's grounded out to third twice.
Mike is 0 for his last 16. But his value is behind the plate.
And he and Kile are working well together here tonight. Here's an 0-1. Ball, 1 strike.
Tony and Dave Duncan feel that every time one of the pitchers has an outstanding performance, they give as much credit to the pitcher as they do to Matheny.
Here's a 1-1. Matheny after a bad ball low and away, strike 2.
He's been fighting it, Joe, and you've seen he's expanded his strike zone. Had a lot of ill-advised swings, very uncontrolled going out there. But I've talked with several of the players independently, and they are really impressed with Mitchell Page, the way he came in here. And I had some guys tell me that the first time Mitch started talking to him, they started realizing that he had seen a week worth of videotape of all these guys and what they had been doing, and he wasn't just talking blindly. He was talking from knowledge of what each individual guy had been doing.
Matheny pops it foul. You can be the first to know the latest breaking Cardinals news. Log on to STLCardinals.com, the official source for Cardinals news. STLCardinals.com. Connect with it. On top of that, Mitchell Page is in a tough spot when he comes in. The team hadn't been hitting well. And I'm sure you have to fight the urge to overcoach and overdo it just to show that you belong and you can help. You have to temper that a little bit and work with these guys. And one of the changes he made with Renteria paid off last night. And you say he's working with Mark McGwire.
Working with McGwire. And, you know, I mean, each guy has a different approach. He's a little more aggressive, more so than what Easler was.
2-2. There's a little flare. That's foul. When you're in a hitless streak like Matheny is, those are foul by less than a foot.
And when you're in a hot streak, it lands on the chalk line. And they run out here, and you can see that it splits the difference between the chalk line and the grass on the foul side.
So the count still 2-2. 3-0. The Cardinals lead in the bottom of the 7th. Heart of the order for the Braves in the 8th. Matheny hitting .227. Shallow left. Matheny fires his bat. He's frustrated. Shortstop Sanchez, 2 out. And the batter will be Darryl Kile, who has been terrific. He's pitched around. 3 balls that went as hits that could have very easily have been outs, mixed in with a 7 hits. So I'm going to say he's allowed 4 hits, and he was able to get around those quote-unquote misplays or bad breaks and keep Atlanta scoreless. He also got some help from Pujols on that rocket sinking line drive hit to left with the bases loaded by Baco back in the 6th.
Maddux pitched his normal brilliant game, even though he gave up 3 runs, all of them earned. But these fielders got to love pitching behind these guys. They're playing behind.
A little flare into shallow center. Second baseman Giles goes to get it. The Cardinals, in particular Kile, are finished in the 7th. We go to the 8th. Darryl Kile, DK as they call him, will go back to work. 3-0 St. Louis. This portion of Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, celebrating 30 years of freedom, 30 years, one mission, low fares. By Advanced Auto, the best part is our people. And by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse, improving home improvement. Don't forget, coming up over the weekend, the WTA Tennis Acura Tennis Classic starts Friday right here. Friday and Saturday, quarterfinals to semifinals, and then on Sunday, tune to your local Fox affiliate over-the-air station, and you can watch the finals. A breaking ball from Kile, and we're underway in the 8th inning. Ball 1 to Chipper Jones. Jones, Caminiti, Martinez. Cardinals lead 3-0. Each side has 7 hits. Braves have the game's only error. And Jones takes a strike. It's 1-1. What's the pitch count like right now for Kile? 111. So he's getting up there on a humid night, warm night. Here's a 1-1. And Jones out in front, 1-2. Dave Beers is getting ready in the bullpen. Matthews had been up earlier. Right now it's Kile against the heart of the order for Atlanta.
I almost have to think that if, look at this, look, 360 average from the 7th inning on. Fourth biggest differential, and it was 290 before then.
Pitch was up, and Jones unloaded, still 1-2.
I almost feel that if Darryl allows any base runner, he will likely be out of this ball game. And probably because of that pitch count, this would be his last inning of work, even if it was 1-2-3.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And time called. Kile is going on normal rest. The Cardinals had an off day on Monday, and they flip-flopped Kile to pitch against Maddux here tonight, and have Bud Smith going tomorrow night against Tom Glavine. 1-2. Still 1-2.
So yesterday we were commenting about the great pitching matchup tonight. How about the contrast of tomorrow? The veteran Tommy Glavine, one of the best in the game, against Bud Smith, who everyone compares to Glavine as a style and type of pitcher.
Here's a 1-2. Jones is gone. A big out and a strikeout for Kile, number 8. Our Pizza Hut perfect delivery. This delivery to take care of their biggest threat in the lineup.
I got strikeout number 8 and still firing hard, over 90 miles an hour. You're just going on adrenaline when you on this hot of evening.
Ball 1 to Caminiti. Ken walked his last time up. Prior to the hit by Dave Martinez, Andrew Jones fouled out. And then Sanchez hit a ground ball to short. Renneria thought about going to second, then rethought it, tried to go to first, and it was too late. That loaded the bases, and Baco, with a 2-2 pitch coming his way, lined one into left. Albert Pujols got a great jump on it and caught it just off the shoe tops coming in, a laser line drive that ended the inning, and the Cardinals came right back in the bottom of the inning and got 3, capped on a 2-run home run by McGuire. Caminiti gets a base hit to right. 1 on, 1 out, and we'll see if with the lefty Martinez coming up and Beers getting loose, Matthews is taking a seat. If that's it for Kile, or if he will stay in the game. The right-hander Andrew Jones to follow. The Midwest Sports Report coming up after the game. Midwest Sports Tonight, presented by Verizon. That's tomorrow at 6:30 in lieu of baseball coverage. Midwest Sports Tonight, presented by Verizon, tomorrow night at 6:30. Little stall as everybody wondered if Tony La Russa was going to come out and get Darryl Kile. He doesn't, and it's Dave Martinez, who's 1 out of 6 in this series, at the plate. Runner at first, 1 out. Martinez takes a strike. Velocity still pretty good for Kile. He hit 90 with that pitch. But he will push 120 pitches by the time he is through this 8th inning.
There's a good glove.
Here's an 0-1. Good pitch. Inside part, 0-2. Good glove because it's a Rawlings glove.
Absolutely.
What do you want from him this time?
They're my friends.
Runner at first, 1 away. That's Caminiti. No bother to hold against him. Not up by 3 with a left-handed batter at the plate. Here's an 0-2. That's a big out if Pujols can get to it. He's there, and now Andrew Jones, still a power threat, can only make it a 1-run game. And then you get down to the bottom of their order, and there isn't a whole lot of power to be found. So Kile trying to get through 8. Will try to get Andrew Jones for the 4th time tonight.
Andrew really slumping right now, but boy, you can not say the same about Darryl Kile. Has he shown his mental toughness and his what he thinks of his responsibilities?
He's tremendous. He and Matt Morris, Bud Smith, Dustin Hermanson.
You know, not that we have a lot of young pitchers, but this is a real leader. This is a guy that they can all watch and learn from. Just the way he takes the mound, how he accepts his responsibility and just doesn't look for any excuse.
0-1 the count on Andrew Jones, and Jones takes a fastball tailing for a strike. It's 0-2. Along those lines, who do you think will start on Saturday for the Cardinals against the Marlins? Anybody know?
Well, I know Dave Duncan told me that he thought Tony would make an announcement tomorrow about some of the plans.
Here's an 0-2 pitch from Kile. Can he get Andrew Jones again? Sidearm, breaking ball, and Polanco the short way. What a night by Kile. He goes through the heart of the Atlanta lineup. He allowed a hit by Caminiti, and that's it. 8 strong innings from Darryl Kile. Bottom of the 8th, 3-0 Cardinals. A 3-0 St. Louis lead, bottom of the 8th. The Cardinals are hosting a one-day dance clinic at the Regal Riverfront Hotel from noon until 6 p.m. on August 15th. Or the Millennium Riverfront Hotel. The thing that we can see from the ballpark. Children will be taught by Team Fredbird and other dance professionals. And once the session is complete, the dancers will have the opportunity to perform on the field prior to the Cardinal Reds game on August 15th. The dance clinic is open to all 5th through 8th grade children. 425-0688, 314-425-0688 for more information. Fernando Vina will lead off against the new pitcher. He's been a good one for Atlanta this year, Jose Cabrera. Ball 1 here to start the bottom of the 8th inning. Saw a promo for the Last Word. I'm on the Last Word tonight with Jim Rome.
You made it, kid.
11:30. Talked about some of the different issues on a panel with Tom Paciorek and Bert Blyleven. And that is the panel tonight for the Last Word. Fernando Vina first up, 1 ball, 1 strike.
What were you doing? The only normal one.
Vina fouls it out of play left side, 1-2. I got the line in about Blyleven learning how to pitch with wooden shoes. From Holland. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Vina. Cardinals have an interesting selection getting loose out in the bullpen. Gene Steckschulte as they bat in the bottom of the 8th, and Vina hits it into left field, but it carries to Surhoff. Good idea, but it carried right to B.J. Surhoff, and he was in the perfect spot.
Similar to where they were playing Edmonds last night, but you can understand it more so with Vina, who frequently goes to left field. You mentioned Cabrera, this pitcher. He was picked up off of waivers from Houston on April the 12th and had a good arm and everything like this, has been putting it together and having an outstanding season.
Another example of how good Leo Mazzoni is as a pitching coach. Darryl Kile. Wonder if he is going back out for the 9th inning. He may. Now Steckschulte has taken a seat in the bullpen, and Veers is getting loose again as Polanco gets a base hit into right center. That's extra bases. Polanco will dig for second. He's going to make it to third. The throw, not made. And it's a one-out triple for Placido Polanco.
Well, Andruw Jones not swinging the bat well, and maybe he's taking it into the field because it had extra bases written all over it, but he reached down for it and missed it, and that's what allowed Polanco to get to third without a play. Good sinking fastball down and away, and he goes and gets it. Now watch the Gold Glover tries to barehand it. Oh, that's what it was. It hit underneath that little lip and didn't come to him. He's got the play right in front of him. He knows he's got two at the very least. And makes that commitment. See where he picked up Oquendo, and let that third base coach dictate where you come over to third or not.
Now Pujols infield in, so's the pitch, ball one. A line drive for an out, a triple. And now Pujols with a chance to add to his RBI total of 78. On pace to finish well above 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. Now a balk has been called, and the Cardinals lead it 4-0. Cabrera is called for a balk. Hunter Wendelstedt, the home plate umpire, called him for the balk, and Polanco scores to make it 4-0.
It had to be obvious because Polanco, Oquendo, Randy Marsh, third base umpire, everybody was yelling. See, he's flinching in there. Yeah, he kept on flinching, making just little subtle moves, and the whole world was aware of it, and he boxed in the fourth run. That's huge.
A 1-1 on the inside corner, 1-2. I'm glad they saw it.
I had my head down. I have to admit, I was cleaning up my scorebook.
Pujols sticks the bat out, gives it a ride, but Martinez back to get it. And that's the second out of the inning. And the batter will be Mark McGwire, and these fans want to see McGwire in fifth place all by himself. He's tied with Killebrew with 573 career home runs. Without a doubt, our Bud Light play of the game for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light. Off Maddux in the sixth, the two-run shot, number 573. Tying Killebrew with two out, nobody on. McGwire hits it off the end of the bat, and that keeps Edmonds on his toes near the on-deck circle. Strike one.
That ball so hard, Jimmy had to jump twice. First time coming at him, the next time we're carrying him off the padding. Went back to his legs.
Here's an 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Mark has second place of multi-home run games. The other day he hit number 66. Only Babe Ruth is 72 or more.
1-2. Anybody noticed recently that he's only 1 home run away from having 20 on the year?
Yeah.
I mean, that total has jumped up in what looked like a lost season, even as recently as just before the All-Star break. See what he's done in his last 19 games, 12 home runs.
Well, and 11 home runs since the All-Star break.
That wasn't that close. 2 balls, 2 strikes, meaning not that close for that reaction from the crowd. McGwire ducked 2-2.
Actually, looked like I almost ducked into it. But
easy for me to say sitting up here. Here's a 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. Crowd wants another thrill, and McGwire into left center field. At the wall, it's caught, a sinking line drive. The crowd got a rise. His teammates get a rise, and McGwire just hit it. Almost hit it too good. That thing sinking into left center, and the inning is over. Darryl Kile, what a night for DK. He is through 8. So are we all. 4-0 Cardinals. Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net was brought to you by Bud Light, with a great taste that won't fill you up but never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. Not letting anybody down tonight was Darryl Kile with 8 innings, no runs on 8 hits, a walk, 8 strikeouts. Bud Smith will pitch tomorrow night, and the Cardinals could very well be going for the sweep of this 3-game set with Atlanta. He'll take on Tom Glavine and these Braves. Right now it's Dave Beers in the game, trying to close it down, a non-save situation. 48th chance for the Cardinals this season.
Last time out, he blew only his 2nd save opportunity. He leads the club with 11. 43 plus innings. He's making his 48th appearance. And with Timlin out, by the way, have you seen Timlin? He's moving around pretty good. Already started the rehab work on his knee that was surgically repaired last Friday.
So hopefully it'll be less than the projected time that he's out. He really was having a fine season out of the bullpen for the Cardinals, and that was a big loss. And a big loss that I think really affected the series in Chicago. Vina, Sanchez, goodbye. What a play to start the 9th inning. Vina takes a hit away, and if there's somebody playing second base better than that guy, I haven't seen him.
Well, this type of performance by Kile, and now you help out Dave Beers, really get your infielders on their toes. This is a phenomenal play. It's a Vina play, you know. And Joey, just talk about if the ball gets by him, you know, no one ever questions his effort. He is a heady player. Boy, he just wants to go to his left, to his right, and he's always right in the action.
Now Baco takes a strike from Veers. What a start that is to an inning. What a lift that would give any pitcher, and Veers gets the help from Vina. Wow. 0-1 on Baco with Gilkey on deck. 0-2 on that fork ball.
You talk about it. You come in there, you want to throw strikes. All of a sudden, the ball looks like it's headed to center field, and you get a great play by your second baseman or any of your fielders. It picks your spirits up.
0-2, 1-2. The sun came up today, therefore Steve Klein is getting ready in the bullpen.
Only if needed, which probably is not the question because they're out of left-handed swingers.
That'll do it for Baco. He made a bad swing at that pitch that dived low and away. 2 out, nobody on, and the Braves are down to their final hitter. It'll be Gilkey batting in the number 9 spot. Don't forget the Midwest Sports Report coming up immediately after the game. The Rams react to the death of Minnesota Viking Corey Stringer, a feature on Grant Wistrom. And Kevin Slayton sounds off on television sports coverage. That's immediately after the game. I hear his subject is analysts who once pitched for the Cardinals, as Gilkey pops it up to the right side. Vina's there, and the Cardinals will go for the sweep tomorrow night. A good start to this 7-game homestand, and like we talked about last night, along with timely hitting, let's talk pitching tonight. Darryl Kile.
You know, the pitching has been outstanding in the last 12 games, and now we are 7-5 in those games. McGuire continues his great hitting. He's tied Harmon Killebrew for 5th place in the all-time list, but I think it's this combined shutout is what most people will be talking about.
Well, it's getting a little more fun around here. A 4-0 St. Louis victory, 8 hits on each side. The Braves ended up stranding 9 while the Cardinals left only 3. And the Cardinals get the historic home run from Mark McGuire. So they'll talk about the pitching of Darryl Kile and Mark McGuire, who hit career home run number 573 to tie Harmon Killebrew for 5th on the all-time list. Straightaway center field back in the 6th inning.
That was 1-0 and man on, and a pitch that Maddux wish he had back. Only the 10th home run he's allowed this year, but it is the 573rd of the career, tying Killebrew for 5th spot. And Joe, Big Mac has 11 home runs since the All-Star break.
Greg Maddux had won 10 consecutive decisions. The Cardinals beat him here tonight. He's 14-6. Darryl Kile wins his 11th after that gutty performance on Friday in Chicago. And the Cardinals will end up going for the sweep tomorrow night behind Bud Smith. And you talked about it briefly. What a study in contrast between Bud Smith and Tom Glavine. Similar type pitchers. One guy who's been around for a long time and is one of the best left-handers in the last 15 years. And the other hopes to be that for the Cardinals.
Absolutely, but I think it's going to be a situation where Bud Smith is just really very quickly has gotten acclimated to the big leagues and feels very comfortable here. You know what, Joe? All of a sudden, when you think you're out of it, all of a sudden the team relaxes. You get some of these games, and it's going to be fun the next 2 months to see where the Redbirds, where we will reside in the standings when it's all said and done.
Houston at home is losing to the Mets 2-0. They're in the bottom of the 5th at Enron Field. Meanwhile, these fans were treated to a little bit of history with McGuire's home run and the pitching tonight of Kile and Dave Veers. The bullpen is in an odd situation now without Timlin. They trade Christensen, and I think as you talk about the next 2 months, the Cardinals are going to have to rely on some other guys like Veers maybe to close games again, like Steck Schulte needs to step up and do what he was doing earlier in the season. Klein will continue to do what he's done. Matthews will be a big part of it. Both Mike and our old buddy TJ, good to have him back.
Yeah, and it's going to be a situation where you're really going to have to, rely on everybody. And it's going to be interesting to see tomorrow, then the doubleheader on Friday, which there's a lot of tickets available. Who's going to pitch on Saturday? We'll probably know that tomorrow afternoon after talking to Tony La Russa.
That is the question after the doubleheader on Friday. Who will start the game on Saturday against the Marlins? So the Cardinals will entertain a 4-game series with Florida, while first place Chicago will visit right now a red-hot Los Angeles Dodger team out in L.A. and maybe a chance to pick up some ground.
Well, that's it. They thought they got by us, but, other teams, you have to beat them too.
A 4-0 Cardinal victory. Kile was tremendous, and the Cardinals beat Maddux, a homer for McGuire. A lot to talk about. Midwest Sports Report now, and Rob and Rob.